there was a guy named John Metric he did that with 4 9-inch warp motors. And his setup was, he had 2 inline motors to a overdrive gear setup. So the 3,000 RPM, maximum horsepower RPM of the 9-inch warp motors had a 0.5x overdrive, so it turned it into 6,000 RPM, and then he ran that through a Lenco transmission. So, yeah, there's guys that have done 2 motors through a gear setup.
Mark, is that 3,000 RPM max power pretty much a rule of the 9-inch DC motor?
Yeah, that's basically it. Now the impulse turns a little bit faster than that. I think it's about 3,500 RPM for its maximum horsepower. But and then there's horsepower after that. It's just that it tapers off as the torque curve falls fast.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a general rule.
All right. Well, before we get the meeting officially kicked off in a few minutes, does anybody have agenda items that they'd like to bring up later on? Don't say no, Teresa. You're always good for one.
I'll say, yeah, nothing at the moment other than I'm changing the club name yet again.
And what's it going to be?
Tesla Owners Washington. Yes, because well, we've tripled our membership since January, even with COVID and not being able to meet in person. So we figured we'd better do it now before it gets too out of hand.
That's a very interesting acronym.
I know. So yes.
Jay, there was sorry. Jay, there was to be a report back, not from me, on insurance, on how events could be insured.
Yes. I have not moved on that.
Are you at EVWorks right now?
Yes. You can see our lovely Pac Westy artwork in the background there. Yeah, I'm doing a late night on the island. And there has been no news, but I'll go ahead and share. I don't think this was public knowledge at the time of our last SEVA meeting, that the Electric Auto Association has had a leadership crisis. It is without executive leadership right now and missing much of the board. So they are hungry for active board members, and their future is in doubt otherwise.
Not to mention their support of member groups' insurance needs.
Yeah, that was something that former President Regine Fellows had been working on, but to save money, they canceled their own directors and officers insurance.
So Jay,
that did not go over well.
You have to tell what a good situation SEVA is in, because we are our own 501c3. So we as an organization have lots of money and we can exist for a very long time.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. So
have we given
thought to 2014 when we did it? It was a good move because we could see this problem happening.
Okay. Who had a question?
Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Have we given thought to taking the money that we currently have sitting around and employing that into a future recurring revenue stream? That would fund the organization in the future?
Would you like to research said investment opportunities?
Well, I mean, we are an electric vehicle association. How can one make money in that same space? And, the only thing I can think of. What's that?
Not many people are able to make money in charging stations, that's for sure.
Oh, no. that's a hole in the ground that you pour money into. It's like a horse, you know. There's no bottom to it.
Worse than a boat.
Or a boat, yeah. But perhaps in the same space, you know, another 501c3 in Shoreline, at least, which is up where I'm at, is our solar Shoreline, who puts on the Northwest Solar Fest. And one of the things they've done in the past is partner with like Seattle City Light to throw up solar arrays. And a community solar project, perhaps, as something that we initiate, you know, would have the potential to at least turn some of our, we could throw capital into that, and in exchange, maybe get back a return from Seattle City Light for the power we sell back to the grid, because they're still buying renewable energy.
Yeah, the Washington State solar incentives have just about completely expired, but
gone. They dried up. There's no money left.
Leveraging our funds in our cause would be very desirable.
Right. And if we can buy solar panels for 50 cents on the dollar, and we have members who are, you know, skilled at deploying solar, that could potentially, you know, be a path where it's like, well, what areas can we throw up a solar array on community property and city property and one of schools, you know, and have like the school itself be benefit from it as well as the organization.
It gets very complex with a school. I tried and failed to put up a school solar array at the height of the incentive period.
Okay.
But if you just give it to them, they're slightly more receptive.
My son's school, you know, has one, and it was done through Seattle City Light, as well as a couple other schools around here. So I would go back to the names of the people who did them are still attached to the organization. So I'd go back and say, hey, how'd you guys get this done anyway? You know, and can we do it again? And is there any benefit to the organization, you know, to participate in this?
Usually
these are questions that I don't have answers to at the moment.
Okay.
They're just ideas.
Yeah, I studied it a bunch. Be happy to talk offline on it.
Okay.
And I'm not sure about Seattle City Light's current EV incentives, but Tacoma Power has 3 new EV incentivization pilot programs launching very soon that I'll talk about tonight.
Okay.
Welcome, Grace.
Hi, Jay.
Hey. Hello, Jeff. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thanks for being here. Yay.
Oh my goodness. Before he hit his name, I saw the Skooganator down there. This might be a first-time Zoom presence for him. Well, let's kick it off. It's now 7:04, and what is this, the 4th Zoom meeting of SEVA? Or just, I think we are at that point now.
I think we're at number 5. I think we started in April. We canceled the March meeting, but then April, May, June, July, and we're in August now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I get. Yeah.
Okay. A little like Groundhog Day. Well, I apologize for being very quiet online. I have a lot less recreational internet time than I used to, and I did not catch up on those emails prior to this meeting. Anything to add to anything to throw out for the agenda, Grace?
Well, the things that I mentioned are by email that I thought that we should talk about. Number 1 is our budget. And we do have some money. We talked about doing a survey last month about how people would like to spend it, what their priorities are. And I didn't see a survey yet, but I forget who was going to work on it. But I think that we should start doing that polling and start putting together a proposal. In fact, I was hoping we'd have a proposal for how to spend some money on insurance this month. Do you have any chance to check up on insurance?
No.
Options. Okay. Well, that's something that we need to do as well. So maybe we can do that in the next few weeks.
Yep.
And Greg, this is Andrea. I did send him a survey about an email about the survey, so I'm happy to do something like that.
Oh, good. Maybe you can summarize it for us. Let's put that on the agenda. And then the other thing that I hope we will talk about is Drive Electric Week and what, if anything, that we want to be able to do for that.
Great. I sent a question to Tacoma Power if they were interested in any virtual ride and drive style events / owner testimonial videos to substitute for the in-person things they won't be doing this fall.
Right.
And I have a call scheduled not till tomorrow morning. I'll start off with a few good news announcements related to Tacoma Power. They are launching 3 EV pilot programs in the next 6 weeks. I don't have exact dates, but they're going for a cargo handling equipment charging in the port, going for some multi-family EVSE support, which is still a weak area, and new public EV charging. Don't have details on that yet, but it is ratepayer funded under their relatively recent legislative authority.
Does multifamily mean that one EVSE is to serve several households?
Apartment dwellers.
Yeah.
Is their primary project, and they're also interested in other out-of-the-box things such as electric delivery services. With all the new deliveries that's going on, very little of it is currently electric. We have 3 electric vans on the road every day at EV Works. And we'll have another one finished in the next 3 weeks. It's a refrigerated delivery van for the University District Food Bank. And I can do a walk around of that one when it is done. But it's our.
So is that a Tesla air conditioning pump working well for cooling that whole refrigerated truck?
That part is not running yet. That's due to go online next week.
Okay.
But the van is driving now. Yeah, it's a Model 3 drivetrain under a ProMaster van.
Regarding the EV incentive plan, have they announced that yet? Is that like on their website by chance? Details?
They just announced their integrated resource plan.
Okay.
Their next
I know what those are.
forward, and it's got just brief mentions in there.
Okay. So
And they had an RFI that closed last week on level 2 EVSE.
Okay.
I'm curious because I have a bootleg charging setup for somebody who's in their zoned area in an apartment, and so actually like setting up a formal legit EVSE an apartment building. If we could sell that to the apartment owners, as infrastructure didn't cost them much, I'd go install it for them for free.
Great. Are you a licensed electrician?
I'm not. So they'd have to have it inspected by someone who is, but I can still do the work.
Well, something I think I learned in the past month is on commercial properties, you're not allowed to do self-install and then inspect like you are on residential properties. So
that depends on who's, well, yeah.
okay, got connections with an inspector.
Yeah, and you're working with the utility, so you can't do anything off the book.
Oh, the utility would do installations then?
I know that they are planning on purchasing part of the hardware, and I don't know what the coverage is like for the actual installation. I doubt they'll charge that they will cover all of it, but chances are that that's part of that. But I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting for it to come out.
Well, I have a licensed electrician who's friends as well, so we can have a licensed electrician on site while it's being done, you see.
Simply under the auspices of one to pull the permit, that probably is more than enough.
Yeah. I do a lot of work on commercial buildings. It's for a different nonprofit, but we're in an area that doesn't get a lot of attention, so mostly doesn't matter.
That's good. Okay. And then another bit of good news. SIVA Connections are a gift that keeps on giving. Anyone here happen to remember a kindly lady of a certain age, Barbara Denovan? Little white-haired old lady. She came to SIVA meetings back in the day. She had a Volkswagen Cabriolet, Rabbit conversion that she donated for a Second Life, and that kicked off the first EV conversion class at South Seattle Community College, the ones that Stephen Johnson taught for years. Well, and then she had a deliberative process through SIVA before she bought her Leaf. And then, as infectious as these things become in families, her daughter bought a Leaf. And the daughter's first Leaf, 2011, has cycled through the college kids and is now ready for its third life. And she just yesterday committed to donating it to a nonprofit senior and low-income taxi service on Lopez Island.
Oh, wonderful.
They have no public transit or private taxi services out there. And this is a nonprofit called the Round Towner, the Friday Harbor Round Towner, and they're expanding to neighboring islands. They ran on an old gasser for years. They scrounged together and bought a Leaf a couple years ago. They love it. They want more. And so we're going to be at EV Works upgrading that to a 40 kilowatt hour battery, refurbishing the car, and the nonprofit will then no longer have to park their one Leaf halfway through the winter days and revert to the gasser. So that's exciting. And
they needed the 40 kilowatt hour to make it all work.
It'll allow them to both expand their service and run all day long during the winter.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, what a great cause.
Yeah, and there's no DC fast charging
Right.
now or planned on the little islands.
Okay. Wonderful.
So that's a nice bit of news. Anybody else got project updates?
Well,
Crickets.
you want to know how much it cost for buying the 70 millimeter wire squared for my car?
Sure.
It's about $400 just for the wire.
And why are you buying square wire?
No, it's 70 millimeter squared wire. It's a
Big honking cables.
no, it's actually less than 3/0, but it is that Charlie knows all about it. Charlie's been working with this all along, but it's what they used with the PM250 DZ inverters, and it's about $19 a foot.
Shielded?
Shielded, yeah, but it's like it's the reality of the beast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of beasts, there's EV friendly, EV focused used car dealers keep popping up. I recently encountered one in Puyallup that's, just a tiny little dealership, but they've always got a couple of i3s and Fiat 500Es. And when I was buying my Soul EV in October, I had almost gone to that lot because they had a couple of them. But they're finding new fans all over.
What?
Chad, you're not in Acadia National Park right now, are you?
No, that was a few years ago. Just a picture I like.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got anything?
I got a project question. I don't know if maybe someone else can give the update. I ran across a project being done. I think Steven Johnson's doing for a farm in Woodinville to build a refrigerated truck. I'm wondering where that's at.
Ron to be able to answer that question.
There to hazard an update, Ron?
Sort of. Stephen and I stopped working on anything projects together in mid-March when the pandemic hit. We just started up maybe 2 weeks ago. But so far we've been focusing on, for the last 2 weeks, focusing on some other things with the range trailer. But the truck is close to being drivable off of one battery pack. I think we pretty much just need to get the connection, the electrical connection, high voltage connection between the battery pack and kind of a junction box with a high voltage switch. So there's kind of some CAD work and probably some 3D printing or machining that will be needed to make a nice adapter for that. Then once that happens, so that it's drivable off of a battery pack, it can go to a truck shop and get the refrigerated box mounted on it. And then 2 more battery packs would go inside of the box, and they would have to get their low voltage, high voltage, and coolant systems connected and installed, and then get a floor installed, a second floor installed above the packs that would actually be the load bearing floor for cargo. So there'll be a ways, but it's close to being drivable off of one battery pack right now.
That'll be quite a milestone.
That will be nice for sure.
I came across that partly because I was looking for things to volunteer on. So if you need help that I can be of help with in a socially distanced way, let me know.
Yeah, with things the way they are, it might be tricky because Steve and I have both been very cautious about how we operate, you know, outside of when we're meeting, so that we can be sure that we should be not infected when we meet up. But then bringing other people in, you know, that adds complications with each additional person. So it's not as simple as it used to be, where if anybody wanted to help, you know, the more the merrier. So we'd have to talk about it and think through it. But thank you for the offer.
So give me perspective. What year did this project start with the?
Oh, Mark.
Well, hey, my project started in 2011, so I you know,
right.
I can ask this question.
It was like spring of 2015 when it started.
All right.
On refrigerated trucks, it's interesting. The one we're building is to replace an old Sprinter, which was professionally converted into a reefer truck by a very big name company. And basically all they did inside this cargo van was spray foam the walls, scrape off the high points, and pop rivet some fiberglass paneling to the ribs. So lots of thermal bridging, lots of thin spots in the insulation, and never any measurement of what actual R values are, never a thermal image taken of it, and never any documentation of its performance. So I'm planning to have some fun with this one, and our insulation kit came from a company that laser measures the inside of the van or box truck in question, and then they produced fiberglass molds. So we basically have foam core boat hull construction for the walls of this reefer, and it's a kit that installs in 12 hours of labor and winds up with a very nice product.
So is this a local service that does the laser scanning?
No, it came out of Arizona.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, shipped a crate from Arizona that was 13 foot long, 6 foot high, and 4 foot wide. Would have been cheaper just to go get it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, there's that company up in Burlington that does that type of thing. They do laser scanning, and they build these huge foam mock-ups for whatever you want to do. And I forget the name of the company, but anyway.
That'd be interesting if you come up with that name.
Okay, well, I'll look it up in the meantime, and I'll send it to you.
Anybody interested in picking up an orphan project?
You have to describe it, Jay.
A very homely NEV from the 90s, which was, well, from the Audis, that was displaced by Ed's Miles EV. That mission was to be served by a Dynasty IT, which definitely fits the category of glorified golf cart. You know, a barely weatherproofed fiber shell with basically lawn chairs for seating, just mesh stretched across steel frames. But it's very friendly to the do-it-yourselfer because it uses a Curtis Sepex drive. So it's a brush DC motor with regen. And one interesting thing about this low volume production, they save money on wire by making all the wires in the car white, but they had this printer that you just pull it through the printer and it printed a code on every single wire. So you can see LHT, left-hand turn signal, every 4 inches on the wire.
Genius.
That was interesting, but I can say fairly confidently it would be free or nearly so to a good home. Otherwise, it's destined to be scrapped in the coming year. Got an aluminum frame.
Oh.
Okay. Andrea, how's business?
Pretty random. I'm working with WSU Extension to do some looking at fleets and stuff, because Washington State has this fleet requirements. So we're making sure that people have enough information to do site assessments. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to look at a survey for SEVA. I'd like to collect more information than just projects that people want to do, but it'd be great to talk with whatever group of people is interested. If anyone's interested, reach out to me and we can talk about information we want to gather from the larger group. I don't have anything else, I don't think.
Okay, thank you. But when you got a big deal replacing the old blinks at the Realtors Association in Olympia, I salvaged a number of those old blink stations and lobotomized one of them with a residential SIM card, and it's now back in service.
Oh, good. Did you get it from the electrician?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Thanks for that.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm not in that, I'm not working with National Car Charge anymore, so I'm not doing sales, but I'm sure that there will be enough of those links that eventually all need to be lobotomized. Do you have that SIM card? Because I know Jeremy wasn't able to find any. So you obviously can copy that and put the residential SIM card in any of them?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Can't be done.
Yeah, I'll keep my eye out.
I encountered this past week my first new replacement Blink Level 2 station. Compact little pedestal. Still has a very familiar screen on it, but that worked very well. And
I use them at BCC, and that's where I thought that I'd lost my third, or I lost a third bar, because that Level 2 EVSE, a new one at Bellevue College, charged me for 10 kilowatts, and I got nothing. And so it must have been the EVSE reading wrong, because it sent me an email and said, hey, you got 10 kilowatts, kW, and I drove home with the same mileage I'd driven to Bellevue, and so I was freaked out. And it just somehow was broken. But yeah, so they call them Gen 3, I think, or maybe Gen 2. Tesla's Gen 3.
Yeah, Link's only
Yeah.
had two level 2s in its history that I know of.
The ugly one that's broken everywhere, and the new one.
Yeah. Okay. Rick Ingram, how are you doing, sir? You've been floating, dare I quote you by saying crazy wild ass idea?
I think that would be accurate.
Okay.
I haven't quite figured out how I want to pursue such a thing if I could.
All right. Well,
If for those who might be curious, my picture in the background is a large flatbed trailer behind my Tesla Model X. And I was thinking about if I could actually put a drivetrain on it and a battery pack that would act as a pusher for range extension, and use a strain gauge in the trailer hitch arrangement so that it would detect when the car was pulling or trying to brake and activate its own power and or brakes based on that.
I thought that was a clever approach because that way the trailer will always lag a little, not lead. The cart won't.
Well, one of the things I found really interesting when I bought my Model X, and in the manual it says that anything over 1,000-pound trailer is supposed to have trailer brakes. And I went, what? You gotta be shitting me. The car is 5,500 pounds. My Gasser Toyota 4Runner is 5,500 pounds. And it doesn't require trailer brakes. And the Tesla has got plenty of braking for that trailer, which I figure is around 3,000 pounds loaded, as you see in the picture. Anyway, but as I was looking at trailer brake controllers, which I was floored Tesla didn't integrate into the car, because as I read about them, they are virtually trivial. They all are based these days on accelerometers in the brake controller in the car, which means if the car doesn't have enough braking to slow the trailer brakes don't activate.
Mm.
And I was thinking more about trailers that have hydraulic surge brakes that are built into the trailer hitch. And I was just floored that nobody makes that sort of an electric braking system. Because it makes all the sense in the world that the trailer would, in a sense, when the car is pushing against the trailer, trying to slow it down and activate the trailer brakes. But with the advent of EV conversion technology, I was thinking, why not let it help push the trailer as well? So I have a couple of places I like to go with my ATVs to go trail riding. I can make it from North Seattle to the one outside of Mount Vernon and back and have about 7% range left. If I try to go to the one at Belfair, it's a little bit farther and I wouldn't be able to do that. And there isn't a Tesla charging station in between my house and there at any kind of a reasonable midpoint. So a pusher or a helper range extender would make a lot of sense for two of the other places I like to go riding. Anyway, that was my wild idea.
How would it power the main battery pack of the Tesla? How would the trailer power that? I mean,
well, my idea was to not actually have the trailer electrically connected to the car for the purposes of range extension. The trailer would have a drivetrain that would, when the car is pulling enough against the trailer would start helping.
Yeah, I noticed a European company actually had a motor on the trailer axle, which would be regenerative braking, that would charge the battery within the trailer. So that's kind of what you're suggesting. Is that correct?
Well, it would be nice if the trailer could do regenerative braking, but the trailer wouldn't be directly electrically helping the car. It would be indirect based on what it senses is the pulling or pushing in the hitch.
The trailer would have to have its own motor to push the car or be regenerative braking for the car. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct. The trailer would have its own drivetrain.
Okay. Interesting.
So other than for dynamic reasons, the trailer doesn't really need regen as long as it's pushing an EV. The EV can capture all that inertia through its own regen. But a trailer like this could turn any gasser into a through-the-road series hybrid. So that makes it fun.
So even if the trailer didn't have regen, it could still be activating electric brakes. So it could act as a pusher, and it could use electric braking based on that strain gauge based hitch arrangement.
Well, in a perfect world, it would actually do regen.
It would.
Yeah.
What's your range difference with and without the trailer currently?
Oh boy, it's pretty large. I cannot reliably make the 150-mile round trip that I do going up Snoqualmie Pass and back. It takes about 67% to get up to Snoqualmie Pass, a little bit beyond Snoqualmie Pass, and it takes 40% to get back.
And
so
compared
fortunately, that one location just above Snoqualmie Pass, I do have the opportunity to charge there overnight.
Any chance you got a watt hours per mile figure, towing and not towing?
I don't have that handy.
Okay.
But I have been kind of counting on, basically it's using almost 4-to-1 the energy between the estimated range the Tesla reports, which is definitely optimistic, and what I actually can do.
Wow.
It's not quite 4-to-1, but it's close. It was 1.8-to-1 going up Snoqualmie Pass in the winter to go skiing.
Without a trailer.
Correct.
So if you built your self-powered trailer, it seems like your goal would be to have the car have exactly the same range as it would have if you didn't have the trailer attached.
I wouldn't expect it to have the same range. I would expect it to mitigate some of the range, maybe, well, half the range cost, because my thought was that it's still going to require the car to pull against the trailer to activate the power in the trailer. So it wouldn't be able to completely compensate by any means. And I'd want it such that it would never want to try to come anywhere close to overpowering the car. But if I could get half again the range with a power assist trailer, that would get me to most of the places I want to go towing a trailer and round trip.
While I was using my Volkswagen air-cooled pusher trailer, I ensured that it would never overpower the car by putting a kill switch on the engine interface with the brakes of the tow vehicle. The iMEV had plenty of regen for all the other scenarios I might want to slow down, but if I actually had to hit the brake pedal, it went into full engine braking as well.
Well, and what I understand with the trailer brake systems, the wiring to them, there is a at the connection inside the car that would hook to a brake controller, that connection has a line that indicates when the operator has applied the brakes.
Yep.
And at that point, the controllers often can apply a certain amount of braking whenever you touch the brake pedal, even if you haven't really applied the brakes very much. And they can do some adjustable amount of braking just by the fact that you effectively turned on the brake lights. And so a little bit of circuitry probably passing back into the trailer from that on the braking wire, just so that it basically relays that signal, would allow the trailer to go into regen, or at least a no push mode, maybe starting to apply the brakes before it even feels the car necessarily pushing that hard against it.
Yeah, it's a 12-volt electromagnet on the trailer brakes and a variable current from the braking controller.
Right, and a controller in the trailer would be able to use that to augment its control system.
Oh, and you twiddle the little knob and adjust your braking and your region intensity right there at the steering wheel.
Yeah,
Would be
so
fun.
so you basically have a monitor within your vehicle to see what the state of charge of the battery, trailer battery. You have a state of charge meter for the trailer battery. Is that correct?
I haven't thought that far through it, but I would expect to do something. If I were going to do something like that, I would add that wirelessly.
Sure. Bluetooth or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are other forms of wireless communication that are open communication for small microcontrollers and that sort of thing that have very reasonable range, even if it's not Bluetooth.
Okay.
Part of what I would like to see is something that really predominantly depended on how much the car was pulling or pushing on the trailer hitch, so that it was entirely automatic to the driver.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that can all be done with the ECU that you have on your monitor. In your car.
Perhaps. It could be entirely in the trailer without any monitoring.
Okay, all right.
Again, as Jay said,
it's a great idea. As long as once you get those electronics, it's, it'll be easy to do.
yeah, it would require building a hitch with something like a strain gauge in it that could monitor that push and pull directly in the hitch,
Okay.
in the tongue of the trailer.
Yeah, that all can be done, but it's still something, a lot of work.
Now, I happen to know about a case many years ago where Western Washington University in their vehicle technology lab, they tried to license a toy car that was designed just for little racing, little autocrossing. They tried to license one as a trailer because they were building it in a class, and the whole point was that somebody would have a little toy race car that was never intended to drive on the street. But they built it with a tow hitch so that it could be trailered to any little autocrossing events. It was never intended to be used on the road, but the state of Washington would not allow it to be licensed as a trailer because it had its own power system, because it had its own engine.
Oh, really? So that's a modern bugaboo that you have to deal with too, because it has.
Well, so my thought is that you never tell the state of Washington that it has a powertrain, or maybe you license the trailer portion of it before the powertrain goes in it.
Yeah, and that's just the interpretation of a particular agent of the state.
Yeah.
We have a customer who has an illegal European diesel, a little two-stroke ice cream, three-wheeled ice cream wagon that is licensed as a trailer, though it actually has its Piaggio diesel in it and fully functional.
One thing I was wondering about is whether just having a really big battery in the trailer would be practical and let it put out a 220 volt AC output to be used to plug the car into while it's sitting at, say, a off-road vehicle park. Since, for instance, last Saturday, my daughters and I went off-roading, and the car and trailer sat at the off-road vehicle park for 4 hours. Could I have a big enough battery mounted in the trailer that could produce a decent 220 high current output to provide the car with a few hours of charging at 220?
So Ron and Steven have already done this, except they're using the battery. They're using the battery voltage, transferring the battery voltage from the trailer. Yeah, right.
It's what we're working on is different because it directly connects to the vehicle high voltage pack to supplement while you're driving. So having it just having an inverter to produce AC and having an EVSC plug into the vehicle is not the crux of what we're doing. It's a feature we could add, but it's not the main coverage of what we're doing.
Well, it's a conversion and it's inefficient.
Yeah, you'd have some losses in the DC to AC where
Right.
directly connecting to supplement the vehicle while you're driving, it's DC to DC, so you have less losses.
That also involves more reasons that you have violated the manufacturer warranty, which I'm reluctant to do since my car is only 8 months old.
Yeah, do fun
Yeah,
stuff when that warranty expires.
Very quickly that way.
Welcome, Tim Economou. Glad to see you here.
Hello, Tim.
So that's why I was wondering about a battery producing the input to the normal portable charger for the car.
It can certainly do it.
But you can do it, but you have the losses going to AC and then going to DC again. So that's not an efficient way to do it.
Understood. But given that the closest place I could charge my, well, I haven't looked into level 2 chargers, but towing a trailer, I would just as soon be able to make a round trip because trying to charge when towing a trailer is a real nuisance. But if I could extend my range another 50, 60 miles, that would go a long way to the areas I could visit round trip without charging remotely.
Yeah. Some may recall my tiny house trailer that provided charging at the XXX event. And that was enough of a boost to keep the iMEV, to spare the iMEV one level 2 boost up on its way back to a DC fast charging on the way home. Of course, that was only 1,400 watts.
Yeah.
I haven't yet thought about how many watts I would need to actually make this accomplishable.
All right. Well, you're probably limited to 1440 on 120 volts, 12 amps.
I probably would need to go to 220. My car is rather power hungry.
Yes.
I think at 110, it will only charge at about 3 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm. This depends on the mission. Mr. Finn, you're being awfully quiet. How any reports from the Volt Runner and its retirement?
No, nothing to report. It's been an isolated summer.
An isolated summer. Okay. My condolences. We have a question for the group. Someone is looking for electric longboard riders. Anybody riding an e-longboard?
Skateboard?
I think this demographic is a little older than your average e-longboarder.
Skateboard? You're talking about a skateboard, right?
A long electric skateboard, right?
Longboards are usually used like in the cities. It's like I guess like I live next to Green River Trail, and so I go e-longboarding there a lot. And so I'm trying to kind of modify my longboard right now, but it's an e-longboard. I don't really see a lot of people, and when I do, they're predominantly male. But I was just wondering if anybody knew any e-longboard. I saw a group, but I was on my way to work, so I didn't get time to stop and be like, what's going on?
So can they climb a decent sized hill? I guess it depends on how much you weigh.
I'm a little on the heavier side right now, but I have gotten it pretty steep, but it'll just stop and I can't go forward. So that's why I'm trying to get more power into it. It's called Own Board is who I got it through.
Okay.
A couple of resources that might be helpful. I know there's a lot of Facebook groups and communities that get together and really like the kind of micro-mobility, personal electronic mobility devices. And usually the groups are pretty inclusive, including all different number of wheel riders. So like the one wheel, solo wheel, as well as electric skateboards, similar to the boosted board and electric longboards. And then you also have There you go. And then you also have, Endless Sphere, which is used to be a pretty active electric bicycle forum. And that one has a sub-forum that's kind of considered off topic in that crowd, but it's they also have a lot of resources for people who are talking about electric skateboards and other kind of personal electronic devices like that.
Corey, congratulations to Rad Power Bikes and your boss for a feature in the New York Times this past week.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, right on. Yeah,
Wow.
we got a little article about kind of our one of our co-founders and CEO, Mike Radenbaugh, and his ride to stardom through being a self-proclaimed kooky e-bike guy from the Northern California, Humboldt Redwoods area.
I thought he was from this area.
Nope, he's from Humboldt County,
Okay.
HSU.
All right.
Yeah.
Humboldt State. Yeah.
All right.
So the state of the art on these skateboards and scooters, they make them powerful enough to carry a 300-pound person up a hill? Or is that really a stretch? I don't weigh 300 pounds, by the way.
I would say it depends on the hill. There does exist a skateboard that can do what you're describing. I just don't know how much you'd have to spend.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Silent Tim Economou has been working on the ultimate electric retirement RV. You have some news to share, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not right now.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for that, but yeah, no, I'm still acquiring parts, and I'm not ready to share quite yet. But
oh, you haven't given up.
no, we're not giving up.
Okay, all right, good.
I do have some news about our solar van guys who were going from Alaska to Argentina, though.
Oh, good. That's what you meant we're referring to.
Yeah, I do have some news about those guys. As some of you may know, they crossed the border into Mexico pre-COVID and had the panels on their truck blow off in a storm.
Mm.
And so they've been in Mexico for some number of months now, sort of stranded, not sure what to do, can't get parts.
These were the Solarola guys.
The Solarolas. So I asked Joel to come in. I don't know if he's online here or not. Maybe not. He's kind of needing, I'm not sure what he's needing. I think he needs some design help. I think he needs some parts. And I said, hey, tell me what you need. I'll jump in the car and, camp out as long as there's superchargers and chargers. I'll find a way to get down there, but I don't think he quite knows what he wants yet. So maybe talking with some of us might help him figure out what he wants. So if anybody's interested, I'll put his contact info out on SIVA list and maybe we can help him out. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Where in Mexico is he?
I'm thinking it's just 100 and some miles past the Mexico border, so not too far from Tijuana, I think.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Any news on the Salt Flats, the EV West Streamliner down there? Anybody know about that today? They had a top speed run. I think they may have broken the record for electric.
Was not aware of that attempt.
Okay, it happened today, so I guess we'll see in the news the next couple days.
I have a question. Can Sophia do a show and tell on the electric folding e-bike that Lee Iacocca did? You there, Sophia?
Looks like she may have dropped off.
Well,
I'm getting it ready, but I need to see how it looks like on camera before I do it because I have this big mirror right next to me.
Cool. Thank you. Mr. Barden, did your Nissan truck find a good home? Dave's getting unmuted. Oh, you pressed it twice.
No, it hasn't.
Okay. It's
still available.
It's a great centerpiece if anyone wants to hold a luau, a virtual post-COVID luau.
Make a good buffet, wouldn't it?
It's clean enough to eat off of, that's for sure. Okay. Mr. McGowan, thanks for joining us remotely from Chicagoland. How does your Durango go? He's gonna unmute any moment. There he is.
It's not a Durango, it's Dakota.
Nope.
And it goes just fine. The problem is after about 8 to 10 miles, it decides it wants to take a rest, and it just quits. And it's got the Zilla with a hairball and so forth. The Zilla is still, the little LED is still green. Says everything's fine. You push on the accelerator, nothing happens. And then in about 3 or 4 minutes, it suddenly says, okay, I'm ready to go again, and off we go for another 7 to 10 miles. And I have not been able to figure out what it is. The 12-volt battery's up, the battery pack is up. So I'm not sure what the problem is.
And you use the Hall effect pedal, right?
Sorry?
You used the Hall effect pedal and the really fancy one at that.
Yeah, I used the regular resistor thing at first, but after going through 2 or 3 of them, I decided I'd go the other way and got the hairball rebuilt for the HEPA pedal, which has a little, it's a strange unit. It looks like a hockey puck. It's bright red. It was made by the Warp people, and they are no longer available. There are no spare parts, et cetera, et cetera. So I had thought that might be the most likely thing, since the Zilla seemed to be working fine. I would have expected that green light to go out and show red or something if it were the problem. But I don't know.
Hall effect should be very reliable. A lot of people are using Prius pedals in conversions now. You can get the wiring harness to hook those in.
John, did you try to pull the air codes off the Zilla?
I did, and the last time I did it, it didn't throw an error code. Somebody said they would send me a little a unit that you put in that wipes the error codes out. And, hi Jay, what you doing up there? So that I could eliminate the error codes that were there, but the last time it didn't add any error codes to it. It's got the normal ready to go error code in it.
You know, I picked up a shorting plug for you, John, and I shall redouble my efforts to actually get it mailed.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Certainly.
It's a long walk if I try to walk back there to see you.
That's a pretty yellow transformer bike I see at the bottom of my screen.
Yeah, Jeremy bought it from somebody from SEBA. Jeremy, I met him through SEBA, and I bought it for $300. the biggest thing I did was I tuned it up and I got a new charger because the charger, I don't know what kind of pin it has. It's really finicky with the charging pin. You have to be really specific when you plug it in. And yeah, so it just goes in the bike and then you close it. It folds, but what was I gonna say? I think it got charged for too long. It might have been my roommate just being careless. I can get the back wheel to go, but I haven't put it outside on. But I like I said, I'm more into longboarding. I know it's crazier, but I feel like I can go like 12 miles. I think I've only gone like 5 miles with this one, and it wasn't handling like what I thought it would. So I would definitely, I'm looking to upgrade it in the future, but more focus on e-board. But I mean, I feel like Jay would know more about this.
I am not the e-bike expert. I guess Corey would recognize it, but that's the Lee Iacocca bike of the late 90s.
I think I remember the last SIVA meeting that this bike showed up to, this exact bike showed up to exchange hands. Yeah, I think it was an old, originally 36 volt, 500 watt lead acid battery pack with a range of about 25 to 45 miles. So obviously over time, the battery is not quite holding up, but I'm guessing it's not the original battery, but it was a really cool piece of technology back in the, I think, early 90s, as you said, Jay. And
EV Global.
Yeah, EV Global. It's a pretty cool piece of history. Bike components, although it would be probably hard to find specific stuff for the electronics for this bike. I think if you needed to get a new set of brakes or cranks or pedals or something like that, a local bike shop would likely be able to help you out.
Okay. Looks like it hit the market in 99.
I saw bikes like that on eBay and said they're pedal assist. Do you know if that's a fact?
When the battery does go, you can, but I'm not sure. I don't know enough about e-bikes, and I've pretty much kind of abandoned e-bikes for longboards.
I know it's got a throttle on it, but the question is, does it have pedal assist? That's what everybody has nowadays. You just pedal it and it goes.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I'm with contact with my Michael Gola, but he says it doesn't have pedal assist, but I mean, I've only had it for a couple of months, and I mostly just store it in my room. Yep, that's my bike.
My wife said it's a piece of artwork where you hang it on the wall.
Thank you for that, Sophia. It is a very interesting piece of history. Please make sure it stays in a collector's hands. Thank you to Chad Twitters for posting this introduction to recurrentauto.com, a Carfax-like service for EVs that's getting cranked up out of University of Washington /SIVA.
By the way, if you do sign up, I was initially a little nervous because you need to give them credentials to your car so they can log in. And I wasn't really comfortable with somebody else being able to access my car. But it turns out they just use OAuth and they get a token. So they don't store the credentials at all. They just do it once to connect and get the token, so then they're allowed to access the services. So I felt fine about it after that.
Sounds like they would only be able to work with a very limited number of models then.
That's what I thought, but they've got a fairly long list on their website.
Okay, I'll look closer into that. Is anybody else here part of the Tacoma Public Utilities charging study? I'll report on that. I just received my second check for participating in that, and it's nice data, except I can download a CSV file of every single charging session within TPU service territory. Their compromise to not be too big brotherish was they don't even collect data when the GPS says I'm out of the territory. So I've got record of about probably 60% of my charging sessions now. But they're using that to characterize likely EV future loads to their grid. Okay, any other new news?
Tesla Austin.
Tesla Austin, yes.
That is going to be, it's like going to be 10 times bigger than Tesla Shanghai. And it's going to be in the middle. Anyway, it's going to be just awesome. And every plant they make, it gets better. They improve on each plant.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Germans trying to outdo the Chinese as far as construction time and other vital statistics on that next factory.
Yeah, and Giga Berlin too.
Yeah.
And that's about half the size of. But anyway, it's just amazing to watch this thing develop. I mean, remember how fast? You remember? Am I talking loud enough? Am I talking?
Almost. We can hear you.
Okay. It was amazing to watch last year how fast the Tesla Shanghai came to where they were just cutting ground to where they're actually producing cars. And I think we're going to see the same thing in Austin. That is, Tesla not only has a superior car, but they've gotten the whole science down into the production of them. You know, it's like they just keep on improving everything they do, and they figure that some of these cars are going to have 10 times the amount of capability they originally were intended. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Battery Day, if that's actually that significant. It's going to happen here, what, next month? And I think it's the 22nd of September.
I've lost track of the postponements.
Yeah, right. But that is going to be significant. And now I see the latest post about Solar City, and they've gotten a huge discount on how much it costs per kilowatt hour for the panels. So I like to see how that plays out. I sure like some input from the members here of what kind of a deal this actually is, because I plan on getting a Cybertruck, and I think what would be appropriate is I made a carport that was made out of photovoltaic panels to park it under. So definitely got to get ready for that.
If you build an ideal roof, it would be very easy to accurately predict how much solar production you will get off of it.
Right. And
tool for that, guys, on PV Watts. It's a free tool online. PV Watts.
Okay.
I've used it. It's good.
Yeah, it's a good tool. You put in your longitude, latitude, or your zip, and you put in the particulars of your location, your installation, I should say, and it'll give you back a yearly annual PV output.
So
regarding solar panels, Bellingham made Silphad panels now are in the $200 range for their 320 watt modules. So those are tier 1 modules, the best maybe in the world. They're certainly really good modules, and they're pretty darn cheap. So I'm just about ready to place an order for a 5 kW array. So.
Well, I wonder how it compares to what Tesla just announced. I mean, I don't know the relative numbers at all.
Yeah, just compare it. I mean, you can right now you can buy them. You can buy them right here in the state for $200 each. So
how much would that be per kilowatt?
Well, they're 320 watts a piece, so that's about 1/3 of a kilowatt.
Yep.
There you go.
600 kilowatts.
Yeah, $600 a kilowatt. That's for brand new Silfabs made in Bellingham. So, yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, I need to be able to compare apples to apples here. So the other thing too is these the battery backups on solar arrays. I watched Jack Rickard, and Jack Rickard's kind of on his last legs. He has lung cancer, but what he's advocating is these battery backups at battery pack voltage. In other words, you're charging a battery pack at 300 to 400 volts just because of the efficiencies of it and because of the inverters. And I'd like to know if that's the way the industry is going to go. I know the Tesla Powerwall is a 48 volt, but you know, because of what is the formula? IR squared. Come on, tell me what this.
I squared R.
Yeah, you end up with tremendous amount of amps to have the same amount of power at 48 volts versus 300. So I kind of like to know if that's going to be the way the industry is going to go.
Well, SolarEdge, the leader, the -- 1 inverter company in the world, has a LG Chem battery. They have used Tesla in the past too, but they don't now. They use LG Chem, and their nominal battery voltage is 380.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah, it's a thing.
And they have they have an inverter that does 380. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, all their inverters do high voltage DC. Absolutely.
Okay. And is that through all the panels being in series, or is it one of those micro inverter panels?
Yeah, it's series parallel. It's pretty complicated, Mark. Let's talk about it offline.
Well, that's why I'm trying to say it to the other people. Maybe they would glean off of this too, but I don't have general knowledge.
Very briefly, they have a DC to DC converter optimizer, and optimizer decides what DC voltage to output.
Okay.
So you can get a whole variety of high voltage DC outputs based on the number of modules you have.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure, but they're all micro inverters.
No, they're not inverters. They're DC to DC converters. So they're simpler, much simpler than an inverter, and much cheaper.
Okay, all right.
You still have max power tracking on every panel.
Okay. Well, I will talk to you before I ever make a final decision.
Yeah, I mean, to my way of thinking, their technology, their topology is the best way going forward, because to be able to charge a 300 volt plus car is going to be a trivial, well, I won't say trivial.
But it can be done. If you off your own battery pack in your house, you could do a DC to DC charge of your car.
Well, it's going to be an easier job to do that because the voltages will be almost matched.
Right.
To do, you know, when we go to, you know, what do you want to call it? Car to, you know, when we get bidirectional power in our home,
right.
That's going to be an easier job to do too, once your battery packs are the same voltage or near the same voltage.
Sure. Yeah, well, this is the information everybody here can use. So, yeah, it's happening. Technology marches on. Things will keep on getting better, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
All right. Well, we have consumed an hour. Any more announcements for the good of the order?
Jay, how about the things that I suggested we put on the agenda?
Oy, Grace.
Not get on there?
Well, we discussed, okay, does anyone have budget requests or ideas, specific ideas on what to spend it on? Andrea volunteered to put together the survey, correct? And
yeah, I could put together a survey. I think I'd like to gather some just basic data, just in case we do ever start doing some sort of fundraising. We have data to give to funders. So I want to do just some basic demographics and then ask some idea about programs. Someone did write on the listserv an idea about curriculum for kids. I know that Grace did have a curriculum that you guys were working on. So I think there's a lot of ideas out there. We've always talked about speaker forums. We could, you know, take that transition, that speaker forum onto, you know, well-produced speaker forums where it's like a 20-minute, you know, for the Rotary Club or Kiwanis, but actually have it in a YouTube. So I think spending money on someone who can do, you know, pretty good filming might be a good idea. So I think there's a lot of things, but yeah, if I'll create the survey and then we can put it in there, and then the executive committee can, you know, decide how they want to disseminate it. But if you guys have more ideas, put them on the listserv, and I'll make sure that we're asking pointed questions related to like that idea that came out on the listserv the other day. And, you know, education. I don't know, Grace, would taking your curriculum and doing, you know, something else with it on Zoom or something be something that you'd be interested in?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We did start and developed 3 or 4 curriculum pieces, and I think it would be pretty easy to flesh it out and make you know, fully rounded curriculum about electric vehicles aimed mostly at elementary age. But right now, of course, there's not going to be in-person school. There may not be till next year. We don't know.
Hence the idea to put it on YouTube.
Yeah. A lot of people are looking at how can we do everything online, and so I've actually been working on curriculum materials for another organization that I work for, and we're putting everything online. And along with videos and everything to make sure you can have as good an experience as possible without actually doing it in person. When you're talking about, you know, electricity and energy and things like that, you know, hands-on stuff is really good. Unfortunately, kids aren't going to be in school and gathering to do those kinds of things for quite a while. So the more we can do online content and videos, the better. And if we were to be able to even have a space on our website for links to different videos that are instructional or educational, that would be terrific, along with some text content, written content, and pictures, diagrams, all things like that. So I would love to work on developing something like that. Yes.
So I agree with Grace and putting things on the website. And so what I'm thinking is, if money's to be gone anywhere, is to perpetuate SEVA in one of our main goals is to educate and proliferate electric vehicles. Okay, so I think if we are to spend money, maybe we could spend money on a web developer to actually create content for our website, so it becomes a reference for all people, not just in the local area, but as a reference for anybody who can, you know, type in our website address. And so I think money would be best spent if we had some kind of a web developer to just kind of add pieces at a time to our website, you know, like references to education and or whatever, you know.
Yeah, Mark, that's terrific, but I also think that we need to use some to do outreach, to do marketing efforts, because we've got to be able to drive people to our website. And you know, some of that's going to be through social media, but there might be print materials as well that we might want to put together.
How would we drive people to our website?
Well, so Grace, I was going to ask you along exactly those lines, Mark. I used to volunteer. Boeing had an agreement with Washington Alliance for Better Schools. Have you heard of that one? WABS. Yeah. And they have, all of those, all that curriculum, which is very hands-on. And I used to do the 4th, 5th grade elementary, but that's an organization that uses a lot of existing curriculum from various sources, well, especially like science museums and that sort of thing. And I can't see any reason why we couldn't coordinate with them to make, if we had the information available, you know, through links on the SEVA website, to make it available and accessible for them to use for curriculum. I don't, since the pandemic, I don't know what they're doing. And since I retired, I'm not, connected with them right now. I do have a contact there, but that's one way where you could, and I don't know that it would cost you anything. I think they are looking for source material. And so that's one way you can make that visible.
How do we drive people to our website? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to do that, Mark. I mean, it's actually something that people do. I mean, it's like a job that people do full time. I think what I would say is it sounds good if we want to spend money. We definitely don't need to spend $18,000 on a website. That's not something that people need to do. But it would be great to have content, which I think that we can bring in a couple different things. Also, like right now, there's a bunch of people who started doing, and I sent them to Jay, but they didn't get to some of the, we don't do agendas. But there's ride and drives going on in Florida. They have a great ride and drive in a Tesla. They have a ride and drive in a Bolt and one in a Nissan Leaf to show people the different cars. And so I would, I can send them out on the listserv and just, you guys can look at them. But I think we need to be thinking about what content we want to add to the site and then figure out how we're going to do it. Because what you're saying, Mark, is we're going to do it a specific way. It's like, well, what do we want to do? So if everybody puts out their ideas on what we can do, and then, people can go and say, okay, this is going to, figure out a budget for it. Because $2,000's a lot.
Okay.
May I speak?
Please, thank you, Deb.
Deb's going to do the work.
Deb.
Okay, so first of all, there is a difference between someone who manages a website and develops it and content writers. Those are actually two separate jobs. I used to be a web developer, but where we are now, because I'm a volunteer, I keep waiting for people to give me stuff to put on the website, but none of you give me anything. So I kind of fall asleep because I'm not in a position to go research all these beautiful ideas. And also what Andrea said is true. Before you have all these ideas, you guys on the board and stuff have to figure out what exactly are your requirements. This is the toughest part about website, is defining requirements. What's a requirement? It's your goal. What do you want that website to do, think, teach, tell? What are the action verbs, and what's the outcome you want? And as far as advertising, in order to drive people to a website these days, especially with COVID, we would need to have very active social media presence. And not only have that, you must engage. I just finished taking a music marketing course for my main gig. You must engage, and you must engage constantly. You cannot have passive social media if you're really trying to drive traffic to your website.
What if you want intelligent people? Where do you go if you're not doing
That's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. So we don't have an Instagram account. We have like sort of Steve Lowe, I think, has got the Facebook account, but you need, do we have a Twitter account? And who's going to maintain that when we're all volunteers? This doesn't mean it can't be done.
Right.
I mean, technically it can't be done. But I know I'm not going to do all of that.
And I have zero interest in anti-social media.
Yeah, that's need to pay people to do this.
Yeah, well, I think we start with, as Deb said, I mean, was a business analyst and I gathered requirements. And so I want to put together a survey and at least get the conversation started. We do have some ideas of things that we can do. I want all of the ideas, and then from there we'll filter down into what works best. And the next meeting, hopefully we'll have information to kind of move forward to the next step, because it should take a couple of months. It doesn't have to be done in a day.
Yeah, these things do take time, especially for an organization, a nonprofit like us. And I saw this for 20 years as a professional web designer. People want the moon, but they don't do the in-between hard work of getting like what I'm really thrilled, Andrea, that you want to put out a survey, because that's somewhere. And meanwhile, if there are links that you think are valuable, send them to me. I can't do anything if I don't have anything to post, copy, link, I can make a tab for education, but what is it, is there anything on it? So I'm just saying, send me stuff. Thank you.
This is a great conversation.
Thanks all.
Deb does a great volunteer job with very little backup.
Quick question. Deb, how do we get information to you? What's the best way?
I'm on the listserv, number one. It's zencar@debgoesgreen.com, and you can pull that from the listserv.
Okay.
And just send me individual emails.
Okay. Thank you.
And the board gave me some permission to kind of judge how I organize all this stuff coming in. And there you have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have many talents, receives more.
Yeah, well, anyway, it's nice to have a big treasury. And it's nice being independent of the EAA so that we can continue on while EAA kind of stumbles. And I'll say it again. We're glad we're our own 501c3 because EAA is struggling right now. And they may not be around in the future, and we will be.
Yes. Okay, on that note, I need to begin my evening commute. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves as much as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay. Bye-bye. But if anybody else wants to stick around and talk about events, and if we want to do anything for Drive Electric Week, it is coming up next month, so that's pretty soon. I know that the XXX car shows have all been canceled as far as I know. Philip, do you know anything more about that?
Philip isn't here anymore, is he?
No, Philip left. Darn it. Okay. Well,
Nope, did not admit being here anyway.
what I'm hoping that we could do is some kind of cruise at least. Bye, Jay. Yeah. Would anybody here be interested in doing a cruise like in some Seattle neighborhoods, for instance? Just get together a few dozen cars and, you know, make a little parade and put up, you know, some signs. Hey, we're all electric. Just like on a Sunday morning when there's not a lot of traffic.
That's a good idea.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
This is Ed. I'd love to do it, but I got to keep it under about 50 miles worth of range.
Yeah, yeah. What if we did like 10 miles?
Oh, easy.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Okay.
And it would depend on which Sunday for me, because I'm live casting music shows on the 2nd and 4th Sundays, so can't do that. But if it's on the 1st or 3rd, I'm game.
I think Drive Electric Week is the last week of September, so we might have to do like the 3rd weekend. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Do what the majority wants, you know. I'm just trying to still have a music career and earn some money since all my live gigs got canceled.
How are you going to organize this through what platform or what? See your email through a Facebook page or what?
Oh, you mean for how to get people there?
Well, yeah, have a cruise. I mean, where are we supposed to watch this post? And
Well, no. What you do is watch it from your front yard. That's the whole idea.
I'm talking about the people that participate in your cruise.
Oh yeah, how do we get them involved?
Yes, that's correct.
Absolutely, yeah. We can do Facebook. We can use our listserv. We can also use the car clubs, such as the Tesla Club and the Nissan Club and the other ones out there.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be at all practical to maybe almost make like my flatbed trailer there in my picture in the background, make it like a float and a family sitting on the float with
I would love that.
Something like that.
That would be so cool. You bet.
With giant inflatable batteries.
Lithium battery packs.
Yeah.
You could have somebody crowned as Mr. or Miss Lithium.
Love it.
You could just be Queen Ion or something like that.
Queen Ion.
Well, see, that
love that. Queen Ion. That sounds like a comic book character. I love it.
A space age, yeah.
I
think it would be a way to get us more visibility and maybe more members, as well as, you know, helping to show people that EVs are here, they're everywhere, and they're normal now, and so you should be getting one too. Jump on the bandwagon.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Jump on the trailer.
To the bandwagon.
So it sounds like there might be some support for putting something together like this.
Yeah, we got to find something different to do. We can't do the old ways of doing things, so we got to find a new way. Yeah.
Well, what it will involve is finding a space to gather and then designing a route, finding out if the city would require any permits. I doubt it, because we're not going to be like blocking traffic off or anything. So probably not, but I'll definitely check into that and maybe put out an email for anybody who would like to join in. And then if it's a go, if we want to do it, then we'll just reach out to a much bigger group.
A map of nearby, say, level 2 chargers would be nice too.
Yeah, good idea.
I can offer one at 85th and Burke now.
Okay, good. Excellent. Sounds like a plan.
Great idea,
Grace. And I think the Stillicum event is still going on. Is anybody here going down to that one? I think Dick said he wanted to get more than 100 cars there, so sounds like a big event. I just don't know if by September, next month, if we're going to be allowed to do gatherings of more than 5 people yet. So don't want to promote anything where it's a gathering of a lot of people. But in your own car should be okay.
Own motorcycle?
Wear a mask.
Yep.
Yeah, motorcycle. Oh, wait, a helmet. That's a mask? Yeah.
It covers part of your head.
Yeah, right. Cool. Well, good. Let's, I'll try to put together a proposal and see if folks want to do that. And if we can get enough people, it might be worth it. Yeah. All right. Any suggestions? Any suggestions where we should go cruise? I'm thinking mostly residential neighborhoods because we want people to come out of their houses and look and see us.
You advertise in the neighborhood to let them know you're coming? Or?
That's right. The next door sites are a really good way to reach a lot of people like that.
Can we play music like an ice cream truck?
Yes.
And not be invited back the next year.
No, I got to play my song Little Zen Car and then my other song, A Tesla Tale.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
blare it out of your 14 speaker system, Grace.
That's what I did at the last cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great.
I go for
blare it out of one of the speakers and you can have 13 more left over. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Well, I would encourage everybody to do that. Play your own music. Mm-hmm. Cool. Because after all, no engine noise. You can hear the music. So, yeah.
You hear the gear noise of the transmission.
Yeah. Cool.
Recorded whirring noises. I'll just record Sir Percival Tesla when he's at that weird state between like 20 miles and 30 or 40 where it goes, just record that, get it really loud. My boyfriend keeps going, something wrong with your Tesla? I was like, no, it always sounds like that.
That's the warp engines, yeah.
The warp engines.
If anybody is an electronics type, I would love help in building something that created the Jetsons sound. And I got close to it once. But that would be a wonderful sound for an electric.
I still vote that the original Chevy Volt had the, maybe Billy, it has had the coolest like turning on noise, as opposed to the Leaf, which has got its little fake Japanese koto music.
Yeah, sorry, Deb, I just never made a recording of it when I had a chance.
I know, I love that noise. I mean, I love that sound. Like, welcome to Strawn.
I'm trying to encourage Corey to bring some rad bikes on a cruise too.
We've got enough. We've got enough riders. We could certainly help add to the cause.
I've got one for you.
Does that mean you get to wear clown outfits and like do a little circle thing on the rad bikes?
We usually do.
No, I think they have to be nude, right?
Oh yeah, with body paint.
Only in Fremont, right?
In Fremont.
You could get the Leaf, the Model 3, and one of the kids riding your e-bike.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good. Cool.
Well, kids, I'm gonna check. God, I still have to. I'm gonna go right now, and I need to still post the minutes from the last month's meeting on the site. Which thank you for finally getting this to me. And I said I would do it Monday or yesterday, and it's Tuesday, so I need to go like do what I'm supposed to do.
Thanks for doing that. Yeah.
You're welcome. And then make sure. Oh, and fix a couple broken links. The link checker. I have some things I've installed on the website to like check for broken stuff, and you probably see those come by in the board reports. I do get to them. I just may not get to them that instant because I've got things, a million other things going, but I do get to them. Everyone, take care, stay safe. Okay, you're welcome. Oh, there's a kitty cat. I've got a kitty. I got a kitty cat. I got to make sure it's inside. It just occurred to me. See y'all later.
Send you more stuff soon, Dad. Bye. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add or share? Cool. Well, I think we'll then call it a night. And let's all keep in touch, and we'll probably be doing this online thing for next month as well. So watch your email for more to come. Cool.
Wait Kevin up there. Looks like he's falling asleep.
Hi, Kevin. Yeah. And everybody, let's all unmute and say a big thank you to Ed for hosting for us again.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
You are welcome to it each time. I have it scheduled for about 3 years out.
Okay. You're being
Oh, let's hope it doesn't last that long.
Fingers crossed.
So Grace, when I was growing up in Portland, Planned Parenthood had a public service announcement. And the theme was, hope is not a method. It was referring to birth control at that point.
Oh.
and then I used to do installing servers and things for nonprofits. And one time I said, well, so, what are we going to do, if there's an earthquake and the building collapses or a fire or something like that? And this other one goes, oh, I hope that doesn't happen. It's like, I hope it doesn't either. But what are we going to do if it does?
Yeah, right. Hope is not a method. Yeah, okay.
Well, the new tagline is, hope is a method, just not a reliable one. We supply in all counts.
Well, we hope you will continue to help us out with hosting.
That was a very good bet.
So thank you.
And when a client asked me when I was going to reopen, I said, you tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Well, everybody take care of yourselves, isolating in your homes, and we'll just hope by this time next month things are better.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, good night all.
Good night.